See if I can do this. It's all sawdust. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. I whipped it on the bed. Feature or goof up other than all this being messed up. This is locked on here, doesn't slide because it's been able to extend past this track, and this track doesn't have any fastener in it. So as the weight sits down on it, it snaps in behind there and no longer slides. This completely perplexed the dealer. Outside of the sawdust, and I got my bed and stuff sitting on here right now because this is the only place I got to stay. Nothing but wood chips, sawdust in all of these cabinets. There's freaking strands of copper wire everywhere in here as well. Every single screw that's been put up into a set of trim is at a 30-degree angle and is volcanoing the MDF out. That's not going to hold, right? Outside of all the other trim defects. There's the hole of the ceiling that they cut out of in here with this giant sawzall hole that they cut through to put a half-inch conduit worth of freaking electrical wire through here. Like a punch a hole in that and put a grommet in it and then run through what you got to do. And you've wasted a massive amount of space that could be utilized in here. But all that junk was in here and sawdust kept blowing out around all these cracks. Because, you know, I don't know if maybe that was made on a Friday or what, but we're using a circular saw or we're overrunning it with a scroll saw or something. And then that panel, when it went in, caused more dings, it looks like, and they just kind of put some stuff on it, but it's paper, right? It's not gonna do anything. Yeah, there's your drill run, or your screwdriver run, or your screw gun run. Again, more of these just volcanoed out in here and in the bathroom. So yeah, moisture loves that MDF. Let me tell you, that's gonna go to crap at some point in time. So we got the shower sealed up top and it open on the bottom. I understand leaving it open on the bottom because it's a pan that goes up, and if anything does get in there, you can let it come back out. But when I go in here to use the shower, it's just blowing sawdust. You can see there's more junk right in here that's been blowing out. You can see the dirt and stuff in here. Some of it's actually still sawdust still sitting in there. This whole thing is blowing out sawdust, not to mention that there's no support on the front side of this. It's all back here, right? There's nothing here. This whole side of this thing just sinks. So here's your electrical mess and everything behind your main power panel here. That hole through the floor, again, if you put a grommet in there, that's a whole lot better, but the hot air that's blowing out of down there is absolutely ludicrous. Where I'm at, I can't imagine when it gets cold. Again, I guess we couldn't figure out how to run this in there. Of course, there's your converter, right? And you got your split on here. I know there's a nipple on there, but geez, hopefully you never have to change that, because we used 1.5-inch long screws to go through 5mm plywood, because that makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. But on the design, this was all full of sawdust. I've just vacuumed all this out. I've still got stuff in here, but all the pieces, the wood pieces that were cut out of here, were up underneath this foil ductwork. So yeah, as we're driving, that foil ductwork is probably gonna tear. And with that being said, where that foil ductwork, we can make this huge, massive hole for these wires right here. But this duct down here, you know, forget that. It's in there tight as can be. That's gonna tear, especially once air starts blowing through it and moving around. That makes absolutely no sense. Also, missed opportunity here. Again, massive hole for that much wiring. Like, you got a thing in here that says, hey, we're gonna push this much wiring, but you have this ginormous hand cut hole in here It makes, anyway, if you move this fuse box up top behind the TV, you're gonna get this space back. So design improvement right there for you guys. I mean, you already got the gigantic hole over here. Might as well save yourself some time and material and just run the freaking wires up to the top and put it in up there. Every time I close this drawer, I was getting a poof of sawdust out of here because back here it was just completely full in there. It's like this thing was built and nobody knows how to clean after themselves. Again, I can do this and you can see it raining sawdust down in my brand new trailer that I just paid $50,000 for. And I'm having to do all this on when I've got other stuff I could be doing. I'm having to come in here and clean. I haven't gotten at any of this or any of the stuff outside yet. I'm afraid to see what else I'm gonna find. But you can always catch the freaking trim damage simply because you'll see the white marks up on the trim. Right here, 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 on the door, up there, right there, on that door right there, all because it's just paper. Like it's a $50,000 set of paper. This guy actually wasn't latching at all because it was going underneath the latch here, because this thing, you can see how well that was tightened in there and the angle that it's at. It was stock like this or like whatever it was and completely back this direction, and just it's like the holes aren't even aligned anymore with where they're supposed to be. It's like they just decided to drill into it and say, hey, that's fine, that'll work. But using some cable management like we're talking about, moving this thing up behind the TV in future designs, if you can also move your power management up here as well and run your cabling behind this, you've got what should be plenty of space. You've got this whole 4.5, 5, 6 inch spot right here behind this panel. All that could be run up there, and you're going to give your customers 2 more bottom drawers, maybe a shallow one because you got your duct back there, right? But then you just run your converter and everything else. I mean, you've got so much space up here to put all of that in. Yeah, it's far back. It's kind of harder to reach for shorter people, right? If they need to do maintenance. But hey, that's what a step stool is for. So on this duct, I mean, outside of just the paper being ripped and when they took this apart, that's, you know, no biggie. What is a biggie is this freeze sensor was not attached. Here's the clip that it was in, and this was hanging down, right? So when we're up here trying to troubleshoot the AC issue, we see that, and then the existing clip that was already in there, kind of hard to see right there, we just attached it back to that existing clip that was in there and took it off of this clip. So if that had frozen up, that's totally an installation problem, not a vendor issue. Now, I don't know what's going on here, if this was just for intake purposes or whatever, but you got your duct from your furnace down here, and then you've got this duct with the wires behind it. So on the questionable design choices, you have your solar controller mounted up top, which I guess is nice and keeps it out of the way, but it makes it really hard to read what the heck is going on. You know, just why not mount it on the front with everything else, or on one of these walls over here out of the way? Speaking about that doesn't make sense to me, because either you have to come out with a hose and then flex it down through this hole, right? Or like I've got this 90 coming this way because this is right below it. It would make way more sense to have the shower unit here and the intake for the freaking hose down here, or somewhere out of the way they cross over. And again, I know that's not something you guys make, that's B&B, but that seems a little weird. And every label in this thing is, I know, again, not a big deal, but every label is coming off throughout everything because you could see all the sawdust on everything, right? And here's more of that just nick, right? And all this MDF everywhere, or paper coated plywood in this case. Look, I already got the screws rusting in here too. Look at that, rusty screws. Using cabinet screws in an outdoor spot. But yeah, design choice, I guess you could say, on that. Not super great. Outside of that, I do know that I've had to work the freaking main door a couple times in order to get that to latch properly, because that's all sorts of wonky because they didn't install that square. I have no idea. And you got the rubber coat here, and you got sealed to keep water egress right outside of this drip pan. Take that rubber mat, put it up there, go around the whole bit, right, and then seal that up. Seal around your doors a little bit too, you know, some gap foam or something in there. You see the one on the other side. Get them aligned and seal them up. On the door, again, I don't know if it's just the issue with this plate being wonky, or if it's the fact that the frame is not, like, I've got to slam it pretty good to get in there, but you can see that this frame is bent, right? It's bent down right here, right? See that? You can see they took some kind of impact up here, and it's all full of sawdust and everything else. I don't know if you can see this. Maybe. It's totally a dimmer issue. You can't dim the lights in here without them flickering. That is migraine inducing 101. It's not doing that in the main portion over here when I dim it using the electronic control, because it's probably made for LEDs, where this switch is probably not made for LEDs. There's some more damages and more damages and more damages. I don't know how well you can see this, but all that manufacturing debris is actually all wedged under the bed too. Like that, like that, like that. So they didn't even sweep the floor when they were putting this in. That, or it's part of this board. Nope, it's pulling out.